coach Game 7. And I want to ask you about a lot of people in social media and platforms are comparing the T.J. McConnell role with the J.J. Barrera role back in the 2011 championship run with the Mets. What do you think about that, and how important is T.J. McConnell for you guys?
Very important, and I do see similarities.
Steve, up in the front on the right side.
Hi, Rick. Steve Eshman, NBA.com. A couple games ago, Mark was asked about, have you run out of adjustments yet? And he said no. I'm wondering now on the brink of a Game 7, have both teams seen pretty much everything the other team has, and it's all on the table now for execution, or do you think there's still things up your sleeve?
Well, there are more adjustments that can be made for sure. So we'll see.
Barry, straight ahead.
Yeah, Barry Trammell, Tulsa World. We talk a lot about the Game 7 pressure on the players. Do you feel any pressure as a coach to coach any different or make better decisions, or how do you approach, and what kind of an advantage is your experience over Daignault in a Game 7?
I love pressure. I mean, as you go on in your competitive life in sport, what you learn is that these moments are rare, and trying to duplicate this kind of situation is something that you look to do in everyday life, and it's not easy to do that. It's not easy to do that. I'm very much looking forward to Game 7. These are the last time we've had one of these in the finals, I think, was 16. I've seen some things about that, and these are special moments for certainly for both teams, but for our league, for the game, for the worldwide interest in the game, and so it's a time to celebrate.
Fourth row on the left over here.
Rick over here. Before the series, you talked about how you expected a very exciting series, and here we are, 3 games apiece, a differential of just 7 points. Has it gone the way you expected as far as that excitement level, and is it something that you saw that a lot of others perhaps didn't see in this series?
I mean, you never know how it's going to go. I'd be lying if I said this has gone exactly as I expected. Because each playoff series, each game is a different thing, and each game takes on a different personality, has different characteristics. Different guys step up, different situations happen, et cetera. So the truth is that nothing else previous to this matters at all now. I mean, we're just down to one game and one opportunity, and so we're really looking forward to it.
Standing on the right side.
Obviously, Coach, besides you, how similar is this group and this playoff run to the one you had with the Mavericks back in 2011? And how much do you use it as a motivation for your group nowadays?
Well, there are some similarities. Certainly the character level of the players on the team there are great similarities there. I mean, both of these groups, the 11 Mavericks and the 25 Pacers, just have great people. I see Oklahoma as having a similar type team. The Mavericks team was more veteran than we are. We have veterans, but we had more guys in their 30s who had been in a lot of playoff runs and stuff like that. There's a difference there, but when it comes down to it, it's 48 minutes. It's 48 minutes, and once again, we're very grateful for our fans. We're very grateful for our organization. Our staff is very grateful for the guys we have on our team and the collaborative spirit that we've had all year. And now it's one game.
Aurelia, down here on the left.
Hi, Rick, over here. There's a lot of talking at the moment how Obi Toppin developed as a player, especially when it comes to the defense side. when he was with the Knicks, we saw him as a great dunker, but never really playing that great defense. But now he became such an important role, also not just dunking, also having this impact on the defense side. So, what can you share about what approach did you have to actually bring so much more out of a player, not just scoring, also being on the defense side?
Well, when we acquired him 2 years ago in the trade with New York, the first thing we talked to him about was the fact that we were thrilled to have him. We saw a lot of special qualities in him as a young player that still had a lot of development to do. We talked to him about defense and rebounding, that those are two areas where, you know, he still has significant upside, and that we were gonna commit to helping him develop in those two areas. What we've learned about Obi is that he's a great teammate. He's a great worker. He wants to be a part of something that isn't just about him. And so he's worked extremely hard, and he's improved in both of those areas. And so, you know, at certain points of the year, he's been one of our better defensive rebounders, and that had been one of his weaknesses. So, look, I'm proud of all of our guys, but him in particular, he's really come a long way.
Back right.
Yeah, Cliff Brunt, Associated Press. Chet Holmgren's been somewhat limited in this series from an offensive and scoring standpoint. What's worked, and how critical of a piece has that been in getting you guys to the point that you are?
He's a great young player, and he's had a lot of stretches where we have not dealt with him well. And so, you know, like all their other guys, I mean, they've got a lot of great players on this team. We've got to do everything we can to make it as difficult as possible.
Joe, right here.
I know that this is a tough time for reflection with one more big one to go, but you go so far back in the state of Indiana and Indianapolis. This is your third stint here, obviously. What has this run up to now meant to you, just to be a part of it and the head of it, just given your long history in the state?
Yeah, I haven't been doing a lot of reminiscing about that. You know, when you are part of a playoff run that gets going and you can keep it going, you know, there's a part of you, and I'm speaking myself personally, you want to avoid thinking about warm, fuzzy things. You've got to really concentrate on process. You got to keep trying to think of little tiny things that you know you can do as a coach to help enhance your players' abilities to play their best and things like that. But I will say that, you know, the 3 games of this series at Gainbridge Fieldhouse have been the loudest that I've ever heard that place. And you know, my first stint in Indiana in the '90s with Larry, you know, we were in Market Square for 2 years, and that was very loud too. And then we were in, it was Conseco at the time, in the inaugural year, and made an unexpected run to the finals that year. And you know, that was extremely loud too. I remember particularly Game 3, you know, after we had dropped the first 2 games to the Lakers. My second stint as a head coach, you know, we got to the conference finals that first year, and the place was rocking, you know. But I have never heard it as loud as I've heard it this year. So I know that means it's meant an awful lot to our fan base. You know, the story of this franchise is interesting because the franchise was almost lost at one point. There was a telethon to bring it back to life, and they had to raise a certain amount of money and sell a certain number of tickets so that the bank would foreclose on the franchise. And so, you know, Nancy and Slick Leonard had a lot to do with that. And then the Simons came in and purchased the team. And then from there, it's been 40, 41, maybe it's going on 42 years now. I don't know. So, but it's a long, storied journey. And I know all this right now means a lot to our fans. And so, we've just got to focus on one game.
Last question in the middle.
Martin Ritmo. A few years ago, you installed an offense that relied heavily on passing, heavy passing. And that, whether it's causal or not, ended up with you not having a single or two single sources of scoring. Scoring was spread out as well. To what extent was that a decision made philosophically by you, given the material you had, the players you had? Or to what extent did you think it's going to be very hard for the best defense in basketball to cover all these guys?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not exactly sure what time frame you're talking about or what year or whatever, but I just, our roster is built in a way where we need balance. When we traded for Tyrese, it was pretty clear that we needed to play with tempo. And so Kevin Pritchard and Chad Buchanan have built a roster with guys that can run and defend around him. And so, but in today's game, roster construction seems to be changing, and a lot of the best rosters now are built on balance, and that's certainly what we're trying to do. I think that's what Oklahoma's doing too.
Thank you, Coach. Pascal will be up.